as he'll do throughout the season each week. Alamogordo Tigers head football coach AJ Cisco joins us. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, man. Great to have me here. It's week one finally.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
I know. Yeah, that when we get to talk before the season starts, it's still kind of like the grind of getting things going, and it doesn't really feel like it's quite real. But when you got an opponent on Friday, it makes a little bit of a difference, right?
Yeah, and then it's going to go by way too fast. Like when we told our kids that on Monday, I mean, these 10 weeks are going to fly by before you know it. It's going to be November.
Yeah, and they definitely need to be ready to go because they don't have that bye week until late in the season this year.
Yeah, we're the second to last week of the year, which will be good for us going to that last week if we're in the situation that we're planning to be in going into the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, a year we talked about it a couple weeks ago in terms of the way the team looks. You did graduate some from last year, but this is a group that returns, I would say, a decent amount, that you have enough experience out there to where guys that are having to fill in new positions, it's not going to be a trial by fire situation for the team this year.
No, not at all. I mean, it's not a rebuild. We're not blowing everything up and starting over. We have a good handful of kids that are returning from last year that are starters, and then the seniors that we graduated, we were able to replace them with now juniors and sophomores who are very talented. And then that's the exciting part is there's no real question marks anywhere. If it's a question mark, it's not about athletic ability. It's about how they'll handle the situation under the lights.
Speaking of situations, you guys managed to get in your scrimmage. I saw the storms over the mountains, and I'm like, Coach is going to be mad at me because he'll somehow say that I said something about lightning. But
we did have a lightning delay. Yeah. We did get delayed an hour.
I figured you guys were pushed a little bit, but what was your impressions of the scrimmage? What did you like that you saw from the team?
Offensively, I mean, we set it up. We did two 15-play sessions, so we ran 15 plays offensively. We scored 6 or 7 touchdowns in those 30 plays. So, I mean, I was really pleased offensively. We were real basic and bland. But the execution factor of us and then that we had, and then the way that we broke away from people and we ran away from Mayfield at times for touchdowns. I was really pleased with that. I thought we threw the ball really well. We threw 2 touchdown passes, and out of those 6 or 7 touchdowns were 2 touchdown passes. So offensively, I was extremely pleased. But that's kind of what we knew we were going to happen. We've all thought since we got to January that we're going to be pretty good offensively and be able to score points against people. And that hasn't been a real question mark for us. Defensively was hey, are we going to be better? Are we going to keep getting better? And I thought we tackled really well. We gave up 2 touchdowns in those 30 plays. Tackled really well, aligned correctly, flew around to the football. I was extremely pleased. That's one of our better defensive performances in a while in a scrimmage. And to do that with a bunch of young guys that are replacing us in key situations, it gets us real excited for how they're going to be able to perform on Fridays.
And obviously you're talking about what you saw offense, defense. Overall, what do you take away from a scrimmage last week and lean towards the rest of the season? Is just them getting some reps against different guys? It
is, and you kind of see where you line up. I mean, Mayfield's not the Mayfield teams that everybody around here remembers from 20 years ago, but Mayfield's the top 5 team in 5A. I mean, they are extremely well coached. Their kids are very talented. They're much improved from over the years. Like they're going to be a good football team, and they'll have a shot to be in the semifinals in 5A this year. And we told our kids, you don't win and lose scrimmages. Like, this does not make or break our season. This is a chance for us to fine-tune what we do it against somebody else. And it's a lot of us as coaches, I didn't call a play on Friday. I just kind of sat back and watched our guys do it and just see how we handle situations. What's our body language like when we have something bad happen? Do we have the leaders to go and step in, and when something bad's happening, we're going to put a foot down and say, this is enough, we're going to change to do this. And I coming out of that, I was extremely pleased with our kids, and our coaching staff did a great job of getting our kids ready on both sides. We had our young kids going down there playing Hatch's varsity, and so we had a bunch of sophomores playing a bunch of seniors and juniors, and they didn't back down from the challenge. They got after it and had success. And I asked our JV coaches afterwards, said, how'd that go? And they're like, Coach, that was really well. Like, we played really well with those young kids. Are going to be good. And so, I mean, even our young kids are going to continue to get better.
Yeah, and I know we've seen, obviously, the JV programs play varsities of 3A and 2A programs, and it's been really tough for them, and that's a positive, I'm sure, for you guys to see that part of it is, that when those kids are ready for varsity, maybe they're in a better position to be ready for varsity.
It is, and that's one of those things, like we tell our coaches when they come on staff, is we don't care about winning and losing on Thursdays and Saturdays. I mean, it's important to us, but that's not our end-all, be-all. It's development of kids. Are we getting kids ready to play for Friday nights? And when their name's called, can they execute for us? And so you'll see our JVs will play varsity teams, and they might get beat. Those are the same kids that are now going to be varsity kids this year, that are going to be able to play at a really high level. And so we're very pleased with how we do things in our progression of what we're doing. And I couldn't be happier with our coaching staff and the effort they're putting into this program and our kids.
Well, you talked about Mayfield being a top 5 team in 5A this year. Your opponent for a game that does actually count against Deming. They were a semifinalist last year. They return a lot of what they had last season. They're going to give you guys a really tough test on Friday night.
Yeah, they're extremely talented. I mean, they're good. Coach Perales has done a great job. He was, and it started with Coach Simmons, really. I mean, Coach Simmons was before Coach Perales. He really got Deming to kind of turn that corner to becoming a football school and not just a school that's just a high school that decides to play sports every now and then. He's got those kids bought in, and Coach Perales has carried over and kind of done his own thing with it, and they're talented, man. I mean, I would tell you, we told you Mayfield's top 5. I'd say Deming's number 3 in the state in 5A behind Roslyn and Artesia, and that's how good they are, and I think they're going to be trying to get to the semifinals for the 3rd straight year. It's a good program, a good football team they're going to give us a dogfight on Friday.
Yeah, and obviously they're looking to take that next step to be able to maybe see if they can compete against a Roswell or an Artesia this year, and they want to come in here and Deming and Alamogordo. I always talk about Alamogordo in terms of rivalries. It's hard to pick out one that there really is. I felt like Deming and Alamogordo in a lot of different sports has been kind of a fun matchup. There are some years where Alamo's clearly better, but there's a lot of years where it is tough, and it doesn't matter what the sport is. And Deming has certainly been that.
Yeah, and they've been a thorn in our sides since I got here, and they've done a good job with their coaching and execution. And you go back and we go to that. The COVID year was the last time we played them, which was fall of 2021. And in that spring, we had, both of us were probably 2 of the best teams in 5A, if not the 2 best teams in 5A that year. And the winner of our game got to go to Albuquerque and they ended up beating us by, I think, 3 points or something in that game. And I mean, it's a good program. Those games are fun when you get them like that, and that's hopefully what we can turn Friday into.
And for your defense, you talk about a lot of guys that are, a little bit younger, new. They're going to be playing their first varsity game at some positions. They go up against an offense that can certainly move the ball, and Alfaro is just a heck of an offensive threat back there for Deming.
Yeah, and the people that come to the game on Friday, they're going to see it's going to look like carbon clones of each other offensively, whether it's formations and plays. But we've got to grow up because Ryan Alfaro is a dude, and he's one of the better quarterbacks in the entire state. And I told somebody he would start for most 6A teams in this entire state at quarterback. And if he's not starting at quarterback, he starts somewhere else because he's that talented. And they've got a bunch of other kids and it's hard to find out who they are during their scrimmage because they're not wearing their actual jerseys. But we know who Alfaro is, and we know who Ezra Hensley is, who's their tackle, who's a big giant, who's one of the better linemen in the state. And so we've got to rise up to that challenge and keep Alfaro contained and not let Ezra just start manhandling us up front.
And, for you offensively, you go up against a team that plays against your offense a lot in practice. How do you, as a coach and the coaching staff, kind of prepare for that? I mean, do you just try to execute the way that you guys know how and not, worry about getting too complicated over?
Yeah, and I think football's changed a lot in that regard of that the fact of 20 years ago, you used to put a lot on kids and make them think, and they'd have to digest stuff and progress through stuff. And I think that's kind of changed. Our philosophy here is our kids are going to have about 10 to 12 plays, and we're going to get really good at them, and then we're going to execute them at a high level and a fast pace, and we're going to push tempo. And if we get things going, we're going to go as fast as we possibly can, and our kids don't really have to think because it's almost second nature for them to run power. They know how to run power, and we call power. They don't have to think about what they're doing. They've been doing that since they walked on campus as a freshman. And
I think what you guys are doing, we talk about Alfaro being a talented player. You guys obviously feel like you have enough talent and enough kids know what they're doing that you'll be using maybe multiple quarterbacks, multiple guys playing running back. So you've got a lot of different players that can fit into the same slots throughout there on the field for you.
We do, and I don't know if we have a Ryan Alfaro. I don't know if many schools in this state have a guy like Alfaro, but we have a bunch of really talented kids that do what we ask and know what we're doing and can execute at a high level. So you're going to see multiple quarterbacks. You're going to see multiple running backs. You're going to see multiple formations. You're going to see guys moving around all the time. And we don't really feel like we miss anything when somebody's in or somebody's out. We feel like the next guy up, and those 30 to 40 guys that are strictly our varsity kids are going to be able to do whatever we ask when we need them to.
All right. And obviously the excitement of first game of the year. You guys get one extra home game this year as well. 6 versus.
It's great this year. It's going to be miserable next year. That traveling next year is going to be something else.
Yeah, I'm going to try to latch on to y'all's bus going up to Farmington next year. So that's definitely going to be a challenge in 2025. But y'all don't care about that right now.
We're worried about now and enjoy this. Enjoy our. We have one long road trip to Carlsbad. Everything else is short, so we're going to enjoy that. But it's Friday. It's week 1. And I know we had soccer take off yesterday, and congrats to the girls soccer team, Coach Wilder, for a big win. And you got volleyball starting on Saturday. They'll be on the road somewhere, and you got boys soccer on Saturday. But when that first home football game kicks off, that's when everybody really knows that everything's going on in Alamogordo and Alamogordo High School and all athletics, and get out and support, just like I tell everybody all the time. I mean, Friday night's not just about football; it's for everybody else that's involved as well, to support those kids and coaches and sponsors and get out to all these other athletic events. I know that we have to buy tickets now, and it's not the free admission, but I mean, go watch girls soccer. We got cross country's got to meet on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I mean, go out and support our kids. These kids have been working hard, and as a coach and being on campus all the time throughout the summer and the spring, I get to see what all these programs do, and it's nice when we see the community back every other program as well.
And you throw in, obviously, the first night for the cheerleaders and them get out there to support the team, and the band who's been working hard on their routine the first time they get to perform in front of people. I know they did some stuff a couple weeks ago over at the park, but they get to do that under the lights on Friday night. The ATs and all the hard work that they do. People will get to watch Dave Maldonado kind of limp around.
Yeah, waddle around with his brace on. Yeah,
I saw that yesterday. Sorry, David. I had to give you a little bit of a hard time there. But yeah, I think it's certainly one of those things, and it's always fun when you get the first game of the season at home too. Don't you feel
it is, and this is. Last year we had silver. And the year before we had Valencia, and it's always fun when you get that first one. It's very stressful as a coach because now it's a whole bunch of things are happening right now, along with preparing for week one. You've got all these other things happening that dealing with a home game. So that part's stressful, but I mean it's exciting for our kids, exciting for our community. This happens once a year. You get to kick off an entire school year with athletics and be proud of the community that you live in, your kids are raised in, and supporting everybody. And it's a special time, and we're excited for the 2024 season and then the 25 springs and winter sports and all those things kicking off. It's going to be a fun year in Tiger Country.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck on Friday.
Appreciate you, man. Go Tigers.